The house will be part of the youth ministry legacy for years.
And we'll probably never see it again. So my favorite memory is 1 year, a couple years ago.
And we all thought Tyler was dead.
And when we got through, Steve said, "I'd like you to live there." In the summer of '99, Steve had told me he wanted me to be children's minister the following summer. So I was preparing for that, and then I came home spring break of my sophomore year of college in March of 2000, and Steve told me that the current youth pastor at the time was leaving, and he wanted me to be youth pastor or youth leader for the summer and do the children. And so that's what I did. I started a few weeks later in April, and when the summer was over, the deacons met and they decided they wanted me to stay on, and so I transferred from Campbell to John Wesley and took the job, and here we are 19 years later. So many memories in this house. This room was the bunk room, and a lot of guys stayed in this room over the years. When I started as a youth pastor, I still lived in the house I grew up in, and I was able to have people come over. We had afterglows, we had guys spend the night, and then when I moved into, my dad moved to a townhouse and I moved with him, and then a year later my dad got remarried, and so there wasn't the room nor the ability to have people over all the time, have events, have people stay over and so forth, for about 3 years. My office, aka Wesley's bedroom. Steve asked me to go with him on an errand, and we went to a house right behind the ball field, and I didn't even know that house was there, and I've been at Oakview now for 39 years, and I did not know there was a house even back there. The upstairs bathroom and the huge closet, and during some D-Nows with a lot of people even slept in the closet. We went to the house, and the former, the family that used to live there was still there, and we went in and talked to them, and they were going to move, and they were going to sell the church, or sell the house to the church. And when we got through, Steve said, "I'd like you to live there." Now a tour of the downstairs. Everybody remembers these steep, small stairs. Many trips up those stairs, I'm sure. I was excited because I was living with my dad at the time, but I was 26 and I was ready to get my own place. And so the thought of having that house and being on the property of the church and having room to do youth events and all that was very exciting to me. And so during the summer of '06, I started doing some things to the house. I had it painted, started getting some things ready, and by July, started moving in July of 2006. You got my bedroom, the foyer, which wasn't used much, the porch, which wasn't used much either. So I had gone from what we had to the 3-year period where we didn't have that. So once we had that opportunity again, it just meant so much, especially in ministry. You always need a place to have an event, and sometimes the places you might have scheduled don't work out. So I always had my house as a fallback, even if an event wasn't planned there. If we needed it, it was available, and that means a lot to have a house that's always available no matter what.
All right, so I've been coming to this house with the youth since 2004, and I don't have one specific favorite memory, but the things that stand out to me most is hanging out around the bonfire, talking to the youth, and kind of watch as they grow, not only their faith, but just grow in general. And it's just been a great time of bonding with all the youth here, and I'll miss it.
Well, the house was used for any event you can think of. I mean, we had afterglows. I hosted Disciple Now. Every year we had girls events. We had Bible studies, we had meals, we had Wednesday night primetime events. I mean, I remember one December, we had the house hosted 9 events in that 1 month, including the New Year's party, which is another event. So we definitely got our use out of the house, especially at Christmas time, and Disciple Now. In the living room, many Bible studies, events was held in this room. WrestleManias, all kinds of things. Blood on the carpet, some will remember. WrestleMania was when groups of guys would get together. They'd sometimes make a bracket of matchups, and people would wrestle each other, and then they'd move on. The winner would move on to wrestle the winner of another matchup, and eventually there'd be a champion. And I think it was better in the early years because there was more people who liked to wrestle, and some who were actually high school wrestlers. But it was a lot of fun. Didn't have too many injuries. There were a few times where people would scrape an arm or something on the carpet and maybe bleed a little bit, but everybody had a lot of fun, and it was a big event for a number of years.
All right, it's on. So your favorite memory of coming here to Robert's house?
It's definitely WrestleMania 2K15 by far.
Alright, I remember in December of 2015, after the Ronnie's trip, we had annual WrestleMania. And what was special about this one was that every single person showed up, but what specifically made it hilarious was I remember Dylan Zirkle and Tyler Ray were wrestling, and Dylan Zirkle slammed Tyler Ray onto the ground, and we all thought Tyler was dead. So that sums it up in general.
My favorite memory at Roberts is me, Justin, Travis, and Kevin laying in Rob's bed shirtless with candles and sparkling cider.
My favorite memory is when me, Travis Hamrick, Abel McCraw, and Noah McCarthy were rolling Rob's house. The best roll it's ever been. I mean, every single tree in his yard was cover shop. And we rolled it really good, and somebody in the nearby neighborhood called the cops, and the cops came and they chased us, and we ran and we got caught. And so we showed up on Robert's doorsteps with the cop, and he told him all about how we rolled the house. And so we had to clean it up that night.
I'm not sure how many times. I know it happened a lot with the outside being rolled or cars being saran wrapped. Probably the best one is during an afterglow at Pizza Hut one time. Dennis Zirkle and Dylan Batten, and I'm not sure who else, came to my house and got access and rolled the inside of my house, all the ceiling fans and rooms and everything, and they used every bit of toilet paper in the house. So I got home and there was no toilet paper and no Kleenex, and that was probably the best job that anybody had ever done. But it's a lot of pranks. I don't know how many.
I'd have to say, oh my gosh, favorite memory is when me, Devin, Justin, and Travis, and Dakota all got on Robert's roof. And then they waited till I wasn't looking to go back inside, and they locked the window, and then went and told Robert, and then Robert came up and got mad at me, and it made me clean the carpet.
My favorite memory is when we were in Robert's house, we found a bug.
And we called him, and he wouldn't come.
And so we texted him, and he still wouldn't come.
Then he finally told somebody to come in to the room we were in, and he picked it up and threw it out.
Our favorite memory was the pie eating contest.
I'd probably say that one time at D-Now I had to take a cold shower because the basement was flooded and the pilot went out. He told us that it was a warm shower. It was not a warm shower.
My favorite memory is from the Halloween party when me and Caleb buried my Mario mustache because it got a little bit too itchy and it looked ugly. So it's buried out in that yard of pebbles somewhere, and we'll probably never see it again, which is very good because it was ugly.
So my favorite memory is one year, a couple years ago, we all came here. It was me and Jordan, and I don't even remember who all it was. It was Justin, some girls, and we all got in Robert's room and we dressed up in warm clothes, and then we got up to the church and we rode around on sleds on the back of the vehicles, and it was just a lot of fun, and we got to come inside and warm up a little bit. It was just a lot of fellowship and it was a lot of fun, so yeah.
The overall thing about the house was that it was my house, but it was somewhere that the youth could come and they felt welcome, and that really is my greatest memory, in that it was just somewhere that they were welcome and that they felt comfortable, and that you know, that has so many memories for youth who came through there. And starting with you know, in 2006, people like Cameron George had just been in the youth group a year or so, and so for several generations of youth, that was all they knew. And so that's really my greatest memory, is that it was somewhere that was able to be used for youth to be discipled, to be encouraged, to be cared for, and that's probably my greatest memory. The dining room with the bookcase gone, and then the kitchen. Much food was served in here, a lot of fun, a lot of memories, and then of course the laundry room. It's been a great house. Well, I got to thinking, you know, I was 38 at the time, and I got to thinking, or maybe I was 37. I'm not sure how old I was, but 37 or 38, and I got to thinking, you know, I'm this old, I do not have my own house, and the house I was in I could never own, and it was also starting to have some physical problems there, and so I decided to find my own house. And I thought I was going to move into Pastor Miller's house, who was my childhood pastor here, but that didn't work out because that house had a lot of problems. So I found the house that I have now, and I hated leaving the house that I was in, but the house I'm in now, you know, is owned by me, and that was important to me, to have a place of my own. And then the old house being torn down now is because it has a lot of issues, and so it was time. I mean, the house was almost 80 years old, so it was time for something to change. The house will be part of the youth ministry legacy for years, because so many youth came through there and never knew anything else. And youth now, even our current 7th graders, had events at the old house, and so they still have some memory. So it's going to take years for the memory to not be present within the youth group itself as present youth, but it just was, you know, it's not just a house. You know, it is, yes, it is something that is not eternal, but it's something that was used for eternal purposes, and that's what will be its legacy years down the road.
One thing I can think of when I saw the hot sword down is Rod still got my cash card.